You check your calendar and there is a new invite. It is from someone in HR you have either never spoken to or have only spoken to once during onboarding. The subject line says something deliberately casual, quick chat, catch up, check in, or just your name and theirs with no context at all. No agenda, no preparation documents, no indication of what will be discussed. And the moment you see it, your stomach tells you something your brain has not caught up to yet. This is not a chat. HR does not schedule meetings with individual employees for social reasons. Every conversation HR initiates has an institutional purpose, and understanding that purpose before you walk into the room is the difference between being prepared and being processed. There are 5 specific reasons HR schedules these meetings, and the last one is the reason the conversation feels so warm and supportive while functioning as something entirely different. Here's the first thing you need to understand about HR before we get into the 5 reasons. HR does not work for you. HR works for the company. Their institutional function is to protect the organization from legal, financial, and reputational risk. And that includes the risk that employees like you might create if a situation is not managed properly. HR is the company's legal immune system. Their job is to protect the organism, not the individual cell. And when the immune system activates around you specifically, it is not because the organism is trying to help you. It is because the organism has identified you as a situation that needs to be managed. Once you understand that structural relationship, the 5 reasons HR schedules a meeting with you make complete sense, because every one of them serves the institution's interest, regardless of how the conversation is framed to you. Counting down from 5. Reason number 5, they are building a file. When HR schedules a meeting to discuss a concern, a complaint, or an incident, even when they frame it as informal, even when they say it is just a conversation, they are creating a documented record of the interaction. That record includes the date, the time, who was present, what was discussed, and critically, what you said. Whether you see them writing or not, the conversation is being documented because HR's institutional obligation is to create a paper trail that demonstrates the company followed proper process. That paper trail does not exist to protect you. It exists to protect the company from you, from any future claim you might make that you were not informed, not consulted, or not given an opportunity to respond. This looks like the meeting where HR said they just wanted to hear your perspective, and the following month your manager referenced specific things you said in that meeting during your performance review, which is when you realize the conversation was never casual. The takeaway, every word you say in an HR meeting is being documented whether you see them writing or not. Treat the conversation accordingly. Reason number 4, they are gathering your version before you lawyer up. When HR contacts you about a specific incident, a complaint, or a workplace conflict, and they ask you to share your side of the story in a relaxed conversational tone, they are not investigating in the way that word implies. They are locking your initial version of events into the institutional record before you have time to think about it carefully, consult anyone, or realize you might need legal advice. The casual framing is deliberate. A formal investigation feels serious and makes people cautious. A casual chat feels safe and makes people say more than they should. HR knows this, and the informal tone is a technique, not an accident. This looks like the afternoon HR asked you to grab coffee and talk through what happened, and by the time you finished your version, you had shared details, frustrations, and opinions you would never have put in writing if someone had told you the conversation was going into a file. The takeaway, when HR asks for your side of the story, they are not investigating neutrally. They are locking your version into the record before you realize you need a different one. HR does not schedule meetings to help you. They schedule meetings to protect the company from you. Reason number 3, your manager asked them to have this conversation. Many HR meetings are not initiated by HR at all. They are initiated by your manager who has a concern, a complaint, or a decision they do not want to deliver personally and has asked HR to handle it instead. When your manager asks HR to have a conversation with you, the conversation shifts from being a management issue to being an institutional process, and that shift is not neutral. A management conversation is between 2 people and can be adjusted, retracted, or forgotten. An HR conversation is between you and the institution and creates a permanent record that follows you for the rest of your employment. This looks like the meeting where HR raised a concern about your communication style, and you assumed it came from an anonymous complaint until you noticed your manager's behavior changed in exactly the way it would if they had been the one who raised it, and were now watching to see how you responded. The takeaway, when your manager cannot have a difficult conversation, they outsource it to the department that can make it look institutional instead of personal. HR becomes the delivery mechanism for your manager's discomfort. Reason number 2, they are assessing whether you will be a problem. When the company is preparing to make a decision that affects you, a role change, a performance action, a restructuring, or a separation, HR often schedules a preliminary conversation to assess your emotional state and predict how you will respond. This is not empathy. This is risk assessment. They are reading your body language, your tone, your level of frustration, and your likelihood of escalating because the company needs to know whether the upcoming action will result in a quiet acceptance, a formal complaint, or a legal challenge. The assessment determines how the decision is delivered, how much severance is offered, what language is used, whether legal is present in the room, and how quickly your access gets revoked after the conversation. This looks like the meeting where HR asked how you were feeling about the team and the recent changes, and you thought they were checking in on your well-being until the following week you received a formal notice that had clearly been drafted before the meeting even happened. The takeaway: HR is not asking whether you will accept the outcome. They are assessing how much the outcome will cost the company based on your likely reaction. But none of these reasons compare to reason number one, and this is the one that makes every other reason feel manageable by comparison. The friendlier the tone, the more rehearsed the conversation. Reason number one: the decision is already made, and this is the script. The most common reason HR schedules a meeting with you is to deliver a decision that has already been finalized, and the warm conversational tone of the meeting is the rehearsed script designed to make the delivery feel like a discussion when it is actually a notification. The language is specific and deliberate. We wanted to have a conversation about your role going forward. We have been thinking about how to best support your career development. We want to explore some options with you. Every one of those phrases sounds collaborative. Every one of them implies you have a choice. And none of them are questions. They are preambles to a decision that was locked before you sat down. The softer the language, the harder the decision behind it. HR does not use warm, supportive phrasing because they are being kind. They use it because the legal team reviewed the script and identified that collaborative framing reduces the likelihood of an emotional reaction in the room and a legal challenge after it. The warmth is not empathy, it is risk mitigation performed in the key of empathy. And the person sitting across from you has rehearsed this conversation, possibly with a colleague, possibly with legal, possibly in front of a mirror, because managing the delivery is the last institutional checkpoint before the decision becomes final. This looks like the meeting where the HR representative spoke so gently and used phrases like, "We want to explore options together," and by the end of the conversation you realized there were no options, there was no together, and the only thing being explored was whether you would sign the agreement before or after you consulted a lawyer. Here is what to do when HR schedules a meeting with you. First, do not panic, but do not walk in unprepared. Assume the conversation is being documented even if you see no evidence of note-taking. Second, do not volunteer information beyond what is directly asked. Do not vent, do not confess frustrations, do not share opinions about colleagues or management. Everything you say becomes part of the institutional record and can be referenced in any future action. Third, if the conversation involves a specific incident, a complaint, or any situation with potential legal implications, you have the right to ask to reschedule so you can prepare, and in some cases you have the right to bring a representative or witness. Do not confess, do not vent, do not give them anything they did not already have. The meeting is a process, and the best thing you can do is enter it understanding exactly what kind of process it is. Here's the honest closing. HR scheduling a meeting with you does not automatically mean something terrible is about to happen. Sometimes it is routine, a policy update, a compliance check, or a genuine mediation in a workplace conflict. But the moment the meeting is unscheduled, unannounced, and without an agenda, the probability shifts dramatically toward one of the 5 reasons in this video. And walking into that meeting believing HR is there to help you is the most expensive assumption you can make, because by the time you realize they are there to protect the company from you, the documentation has already been created and your words are already in the file. HR exists to protect the company, and understanding who they actually protect and why changes every conversation you will ever have with them. I break down exactly how HR's institutional loyalty works and who they are actually designed to defend in the next video. It was never a chat, it was always a process.